This March is just staring at me. I'm difficult right now. This is not me. Okay. Good afternoon. Today is March 28th, and I am interviewing Miss March for my career research project. I am researching the career of a psychology teacher. Mrs. March, do I have permission to record you?
Yes.
For my interview. Thank you. So let's begin. How does your subject matter relate to my career interests of a psychology teacher?
How does my career of being a psychology teacher influence you wanting to be a psychology teacher? I think that they would directly relate. Because it's the same thing, right?
Right.
I obviously, you're going to need, as a psychology teacher, you need to understand a lot of psychology. I majored in psychology, so I'm very familiar with it. And then you have the teacher side of it. So learning strategies for being an effective teacher.
Okay. How would your class prepare me for my career interest?
My class is going to give you a broad foundation of psychology, so that if you were to take, my goal is that if then you go to college and you take Intro to Psychology, which a lot of freshmen do, that those things that we talk about will be familiar to you because you will have talked about it already with me. College includes a lot of information in a short amount of time, and so hopefully my class preps you for that. Right?
Okay.
So we'll cover a lot of different basic areas that talk about major theories and vocabulary that most people in the psychology world are dealing with.
Okay. What makes your class unique?
Well, it's a year-long class, which is very unusual. Most people who would have the opportunity to take psychology as an elective, if they had that opportunity, would only maybe be a quarter or a semester long. Mine is a whole year. So that really allows us to do a lot more in-depth study of the different topics. We can do a lot more hands-on projects that relate to what we're talking about. When I was in high school, I took psychology, and it was a quarter, and very surface level. So it allows us to do a lot more. And very, very few people would have that opportunity. I don't know anybody else, or any other school that offers psychology year-round at a high school. So it's
That's good.
I think it's good, but I'm biased a little bit. So.
Okay. I see your side. How do you implement character education to your class?
Modeling.
Modeling.
I try to model the way I expect everybody else to behave, model good character, respect, responsibility.
Okay.
I don't want to be, I can't expect my students to show good character if I don't show good character, right?
I see.
I recognize students who show that. I have a bulletin board nominating people for doing those kinds of things. We hold each other accountable for homework, using proper language. We do a lot of debates in my class, and it's very easy for teenagers to just argue with each other. And so this is about learning how we can have a disagreement and challenge each other while still being respectful. So that's a big part of the class. We'll have debates throughout the whole year.
Okay. So it sounds interesting to me. What challenges did you face in becoming a psychology teacher, and how did you overcome your challenges?
Challenges of specifically becoming a psychology teacher, well, or a teacher in general, is that there are a lot of different things that you have to do to become a teacher, depending on the state that you are living in. I was living in Oregon when I was getting my teaching credential, and there's just a lot of different requirements that you have to do. Some people might say that there's a lot of hoops you have to sort of jump through. It's not necessarily that anything is super difficult, it's just you got to take care of this, and you got to take care of that, and you got to take care of this. You have to provide evidence, all those kinds of things. And then transitioning from Oregon to California, there's different rules then. So I think those kinds of things, for me personally, becoming a teacher is most challenging. Is finding those hoops to jump through and knowing the difference between, you know, state to state and what do I have to do? How does my education in Oregon transfer to California, that kind of thing.
So that's it. For challenges, like anything else, just origin.
Well, having to work a job while going to graduate school or while in college, you know, that's definitely challenging.
How about inside class colleges? Like in college, like did you have a problem with studying? Did you have a problem with comprehending the material?
Comprehending wasn't too bad. There's just a lot of work. The psychology classes, there's a lot of reading, like a lot of reading. So time management is going to be a challenge for a lot of people, especially when you have a lot of other temptations to go hang out with friends and do this and that, when you've got a lot of reading to do or you got a long paper to write. Most psychology classes, that's what you do. You do reading, you write papers, and you take a test. So time management can be very, very challenging. The material, there's a lot of vocabulary, which can be really challenging for some folks. And so being able to seek help when you need it and know where to seek help from is really important in college. There's a lot of resources of places that you can go where there's people on campus who can help you.
So I really want to know what interests you in psychology, in becoming a psychology teacher. What made you want to become what you are now?
Well, I originally wanted to be a psychologist, a clinical psychologist. So because I just find the subject very interesting. Why do we think certain ways? Why do we behave certain ways? I find it fascinating. All of my classes that I took in college, they're things that I'm interested in. And as a side note, I really think students, when they go to college, there's this pressure that they feel like, I got to decide what I want to do now.
Yeah,
and do
that's
it.
how I feel sometimes.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's okay for you to change your mind. And in college, at least in undergrad, study what's interesting to you.
Okay.
Take classes in what's interesting to you. And that's what I did. Psychology was very interesting to me, and then I decided to major in it, and I thought, well, I really want to do this. I want to help people. Counseling, I could see a lot of benefits from that. So it was just a topic that I found very interesting
just
and applicable.
To yourself.
And it's something that you can really apply to everyone. I mean, it's everything that we do. And then toward the end, I decided that I was interested in teaching. I really like learning. I loved high school myself. I like students, and just feeling like for now, teaching was something that I really wanted to do. And maybe later on in the future, maybe I'll go back and move more towards the counseling or psychologist route. But again, it's doing what feels right now, what's interesting. And for me, I always like to learn. I always like to help people, and those kinds of things go hand in hand.
Okay, so I don't really know the definition of psychology, so can you explain what that is?
It's the study of the mind and behavior.
Okay, and what can I do now that will prepare me in the next 4 years or even 10 years that I'm definitely for sure going to become a psychology teacher or major?
Something to prepare you to become a psychology teacher?
Yeah. Or what can I do now?
I think you need to, continue to work hard.
Okay.
Don't fall behind in your work, keep up your good grades and those kinds of things. But as far as skills, I would say reading, a lot of reading. Build your vocabulary. Be reflective. I always think it's a good idea to journal. Psychology is a lot about thinking, why do we do this and why do we do that? It's a little bit philosophical sometimes. So keeping a journal just about like your personal life and how you think about and feel about things can be helpful. Practice listening. Listening is key in psychology, especially if somebody was being like a counselor. You have to, it's not about giving advice, it's about listening and asking questions. So in my class, I ask why a lot, and the kids hate that. So be
That's my
comfortable.
favorite
Be
question.
comfortable with asking why. Why is this happening?
Okay. So that's all the questions I have for you today, Ms. Marsh.
Okay.
And I'm really glad that you took some of your time to interview. I can do this interview.
You're welcome.
So thank you.